Hey everyone, another day, another handheld, with this one being Anbernic's first square screen handheld, the RG Cube. The RG Cube is similar to PowerKiddy's RGB30 and the upcoming ZPG A1 Unicorn in that it's focused around a square 1:1 ratio screen, which is going to be fantastic for the original Game Boy, Gamegear, Neo Geo Pocket Color, vertical shooters, and arguably the DS and 3DS games too. It is worth mentioning straight out of the gate that the early review units of the RG Cube were plagued with terrible light bleeding and some scrapey triggers. Both thankfully seem to be largely resolved in my retail unit here, which is obviously great news, but there have been reports of some retail units being affected by these initial issues in the first batch. So my advice, if you were to purchase, is to make sure that you pick it up from somewhere that you're comfortable with the return policy for, just in case. In terms of specs, the RG Cube is powered by the Unisoc T820, which all in all is quite the capable chip, and they'll give us access to some but not all of the 3DS and Wii game catalogues. Otherwise, we've got a pretty hefty 8 gigs of RAM, which is great to see, 5G Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, a 3.95-inch touchscreen at a resolution of 720 by 720. The Cube has a 5200 mAh battery, comes in at around 255 grams, and has Android 13 as its OS straight out of the box. The red and grey retro style looks fantastic in person, and the RG Cube has some pretty neat flares to its design, like the grips on the triggers and shoulder buttons, as well as its inner curves, making it a surprisingly comfortable handheld to hold. Otherwise, from the top, we've got the fan outlet, headphone jack, micro SD card slot, and single USB-C port, which is all we need, and this one does support 1080p DisplayPort output. On the back, we've got the fan intake. It's great to see the little details like grills around the fan here too, by the way, and not much else other than the Anbernic logo and little bits of info on the back. On the right side, we've got the recessed power and volume buttons, which at least won't be pressed accidentally, and nothing on the left side. Underneath, we've got the speaker grills for the down-firing speakers, which thankfully don't get immediately covered thanks to being at the front away from the grips, but they are still obviously down-firing. So, all in all, the RG Cube has a pretty condensed but comfortable design that does feel great in the hands. In terms of controls, the RG Cube does a great job overall. We do have a couple of Hall joysticks, which don't have a lot of travel to them, and have quite a boxy travel arc to them too. It's not too bad for retro gaming, but they are pretty restrictive for modern games. We also have Hall analog triggers, which have a deceptive amount of travel and control to them despite how compact they may look. In fact, the triggers come out to be one of the standout areas for the controls for me. The face buttons are another highlight, with them being a reasonable size and all having a reassuring amount of travel to them, which makes them all feel pretty responsive. The D-pad is a disc-style D-pad like Anbernic's RG Arc, and of course the Sega controls that inspired both of them, and the RG Cube's D-pad isn't bad at all. There's a strong pivot to the disc that makes diagonals very easy to pull off, as well as multiple input transitions. It's not the best disc-style D-pad by any means, but it's still very much a strong one and a good example of them. The Android 13 build from Anbernic isn't too bad. It comes pre-set up with a number of emulators, some of which you'll likely want to uninstall straight away, or at the very least reinstall the right Pro variants to support the developers once you connect up to the Play Store. The pull-down menu gives you quick access to control settings, RGB settings and the like, and the Anbernic launcher has come on quite a bit since its first version, and is now in a very usable state. Even without purchasing a ROM microSD card, everything is pretty much set up ready to go, with you just having to point to your ROM directories as a bare minimum. Of course, you'd likely want to tinker more and play around with their overlay presets, but it is great to see that there's at least some thought been put into the user setup here. Anyway, I'll cut some gameplay footage now and summarise back up at the end. So overall, Anbernic's RG Cube comes out to be a fantastic handheld for me, though by the sounds of the various retail reports, there's unfortunately been some inconsistency sent with the first retail batch. My advice would be, if you can wait, then check the community's Discords and Reddits to wait until fixed units are being sent out consistently, or if you can purchase it from a retailer you're comfortable with and trust, then there's a lot to love with the RG Cube. That's it for now though, thanks so much for watching.